Yes, thank you everyone. Welcome to today's lecture. I will not call it a lecture, but rather knowledge sharing. So today I want to share with you what we call agent skills. Agent skills is a new technology. It's really not that new. It's been around for like 4 or 5 months or more, and it was developed by Anthropic. And so agent skills allows us, so currently it's more adopted by coding agents, mostly adopted by coding agents, but Langchain has rolled out an architecture where you can add it in your own agents. So yeah, before we go deep into that, what is agent skills? So agent skills is a specification where you can pass your agent the main skills. So you can tell it I want you to have these skills about creating projects, about data entry, and about this. So you give it different domain skills. Then the agent can swap out the skills depending on the needed use case. So let's say, for example, we need to we are creating a project, and you have a skill to create a project. Then that's what it does, and all of that. So that's the introduction for the agent skills. Then as for the part two, we are going later we look, so at the start we are going to look at the how different coding agents use agent skills. Thereafter, and lastly, we look at how it's supported as an architecture for agents development. Yeah, thank you, and I'm excited to share with you this concept today. As I mentioned, really the agent skills, the best setup is like this one. You can see we have like different coding assistants. We have Cursor, we have Code, and VS Code. Multiple coding agents. Actually, during the research for this video, that's when I noticed that we have so many coding agents that I didn't. Spring AI. There is one for Spring. Yeah, definitely, it's a bit interesting. So what you are doing with agent skills is basically you're telling your coding assistant or your coding agent that to use this particular domain skills. So let's say, for example, you have a preferred way to create projects, or you have a preferred way to do data entry. And let's say maybe you're a full stack developer, and every time you create a project, you create an Next.js project, and then Fast API backend. So you have a front end with Next.js and Fast API as your backend. This, you can tell the agent, you specify those particular skills, so that each time it's always going to create a project in that particular order. Now, what does this help us with? Really, the majority thing is that it's going to help reduce the context that we give to the LLM. So we reduce heavily the context that we give to the LLM. Now you don't have to tell it, do Tailwind, tell it, do this. No, you have to, you can get to the point where you can just tell it, I need a real estate agent website, or a real estate I want you to initialize a real estate project, and it does everything. You get all the boilerplate that you need. Okay, now let's look at the specification for this particular for agent skills. So this is the docs, agentskills.io. This is where you can find all the related information to agent skills. And what we have here is that you can read through everything. And also you can see all of the coding assistants that like support this particular specification. So you can use it how it's said during when you have one of these coding assistants or these AI assistants. And what here we are mostly interested in is to have the theoretical understanding of agent skills. Then we are going to the practical part thereafter. Skills creation. So we have two ways of creating skills, no, two levels. I mean, we can create one at the local level and the other at the top level. So which is like the global level skills. So the local level skills are on the project local, basically project level. It's when you create a skill and it's only used by a particular project. Let's say, for example, you have a skill that does that says you're going to yeah, whenever you create a file, do ABCD, or maybe whenever something, a new dependency is going to be added, first do a background check about the dependency. So that's what a particular skill you can give to your agent. So now, how do we create? Basically, we have to go in the config file, whether locally or globally, of your coding agent. This will be Cursor or Claude and all of that. Then you put there inside the skills directory, you put there the skill.name. So this can be something like a skill project creation or project creation. That's enough. What's key is that you have to provide this skill MD file. This holds the context for your skill. So, and this is how the skill.md file should be described. This is how it should be described. It's a YAML format where you have to provide the name. This is the skill of the name, same as the folder name. Then the description. This has, I think it has the particular. So now we are going to look into the agent skills, the practical part. We will first create a skill globally. No, we'll look at a skill that is created globally, and then look one for a local project. So globally, what you have to do is, like I mentioned, you have to go into the config file. So you have to come to your root directory. This is where it is. Then look for your config file. Currently, we are going to use for Cursor. This is for this practical session. We are doing for Cursor, but later on, the same concept apply to Cloud Code. Those that adopted you can check all those that adopted the specification. They will work the same way. So this is where we do. You look at your Cursor config, then you look into the console. You're looking for this particular directory. If you don't have one, then create it. Then you go into skills, look for a skill. So currently we have one called project setup skills. Then let's look at its configuration. Oh, sorry, yeah. .skill.md. You remember this is where we see. Now you can see what I did is this is a project setup skill. Whenever we are setting up a project, it should look into this skill. Then you can see the description. This is how to set up any project, irrespective of the language. Now always check the technologies to use. So this is the instruction that I gave it. Remember, you can give it as much instructions as you would like. Then this is how we create a skill that is on the global scale. Now we are going to look into the local skills. What we do is we go inside here. We also create a .cursor config file. Then same as you have to put in the skills. Then you create a project. You create your own skill. By the way, if you ask the coding agent, it can do everything for you. But if you want to have autonomy, and also you can create it manually. So we have this skill.md file. Then you can see the particular the minimum parameters needed for a skill. We have them name and description. And then you can see we have instructions. Say you are an expert full stack architect. This is typically how we create AI agents and the skill tool. Then you have this folder structure when you're creating a project, front-end setup, and you remember the reference part. So this is where we are trying to reference a front-end skill. So how to create front-end. Now, if you come here inside the references, you can see we have front end and back end. Now you can see you can specify so that you give it more context about how front end should be specified, same as back end. So you can see the reference for the back end, then more of high level architecture of what should happen. Now, if I was to say, let's try to create a simple create a hotel booking. Let me make this be a hotel booking platform. What it's going to do during the planning, it's going to, yes, you see it's now looking into the school creation project. It should have used also the initial. Anyway, you can see it created a checklist based on the skill that we gave it, and that's how it's going to make it. So you can see it's going to do all of this. Now once everything is done, okay, my internet is a bit slow, but yeah, it's trying to install requirements and dependencies, and they're taking some time. So that's how it is. Okay, so here we are going to try to create a project, and then we see if it will use the global scale. Create a project, a Gorang project for a stylish currently curator use dependencies so that you can trigger the first skill. You can see that it's going to check up the setup skills first, and okay, so now we are going to touch on the last part of this video, which is how we can use agent skills, how we can use them as a sort of an architecture for our normal AI agents. I don't know if this is currently supported by Career AI or something. You can research about it, but what I know is that Langchain supports this as a method of an architecture. And basically there is this goal. I think Sam Altman is the one who talked about it, where he said there is a point in time where we will have a unicorn company made up of one person. And I believe this is one part that can get you there. How so? So the way it is, you have one agent that can swap up multiple skills. So you might give it like HR skills. You can give it not only HR skills, you can give it recruitment skills, and then whenever you give it a command, it will you give it a prompt to go look for a particular skill. So yeah, I think this is one of the ways that can get us there. And then yeah, so how it works is like as you can see here, the user let me put, how can I make it now? Anyway, the user gives a prompt. Let's say, for example, this is an HR, this is no, let's use our use case. What we are going to implement is going to be a skill, a coding language skills. So we are going to give it TypeScript, Python, and yeah, those are the two skills that we are going to give it. Then whenever, depending on the prompt, it will evaluate. For example, if you say I want you to implement a Python calculator, it's going to use the Python skills, then it creates something for you. You are free to explore different domains in the skills, but that's one use case. So this is, for example, this is the agent. So the user gives a prompt, then the agent bases on the skill provided. Here, I think it gives us one thing about the limitation in the overall entire architecture that we've seen, which is that we don't have control of when the agent uses the skill. So this is something I think that at some point will be provided, but basically the agent is the one to reason which skill to use. Anyway, this is how it is. Now let's look at the source code. Okay, so over now to the implementation part. Like I said, what this agent does is going to, you ask it something. It's a coding assistant. You are going to ask it a question, then it's going to deduce the relevant skill to use. So how do we do this? And also it's going to be for Python and TypeScript only. So this is plain Langchain creating an agent stuff. Then we have, what we need to do is that this is a skills middleware that we have to incorporate into our agent. Then we are using DeepSeek as our base model, as our LLM provider here. Then this is a system prompt. You are a code developer assistant that helps users write Python or TypeScript code, because we have two skills. Sorry. Now what you're doing is inside the skill, we are providing it this skill, and then this skill middleware, what it does, it loads up the skills. So it loads them as part of the tools for the middleware. Now in the initialization file, what we do is that we have to append, we have to initialize the list of skills. So this is to give it the overview of all the skills that are available, so that when it's choosing, it can easily tell which one it needs. And we give it the name and the description. Remember, the description is a short description of what the skill does. This is where even the agent reasons or interacts with when it's about to use a skill. So then self.skill prompt, we make it a small skill. We make it a string, so that we have a string of all of the available skills, not just an array. Here we are appending each skill that we have inside the skills, and you can see that the skills is just this list all, or if you're not from Python, you can just call it an array, and it's an array of objects or a list of dictionaries where we have JSON objects. We have the name, the description, and then the content. This is you remember in the file what we did was we had the name, we had the description, and then we had the other part, the part at the bottom which contains instruction. So this is the content part where we have this. Now you have the Python development skill and the TypeScript development skill. All of this is the thing. Now what you're going to do, coming back to our middleware, is like we've loaded up all the skills. We are going to wrap a model call. This is where we inject the skills into the system prompt. You remember the prompt that we had. So what we are doing is this is just a small tuple. No, not a tuple. We have this is a string where basically we are telling you these are the available skills, and use the load skill tool when you need to load information about the skill. So this is a function that will help us to inject the skills into the system prompt. New content, whatever. Then what if you check the skills? Then inside the skills, we've seen through the skills. Then in the tools, the tool to load the skills, what does it do? The tool, it's a Langchain tool, and basically an agentic tool. And then what you do is you give it the skill name. Then it's going to look at the MD file, like for skill in skills, it's going to look at the skills array, or list. Then it loads it into, it gets the name once the skill is equal to the same as the name. So you remember we gave it name and skill and the description, but you remember it also has content. So this is where now this is where we reload up the entire skill now. So we get the name, we get the skill description, and then you get the content. You might be wondering, you're like, why don't we provide it here? Why don't we provide the content? The reason is that it's to reduce the context. So with LLMs, one of the major issues that we have is that we have a limited context window. So yeah, some LLMs take it to like 1 million tokens and all of that. But in order for you are always advised to use the minimum context possible. So in this case, that's why we always just give it the name and the description. But then in the tool, once it has identified the right skill, then it's going to use this tool to load it up, get all the information about the skill.